This is a very destructive storm that's moving through Johnson County right now. You're looking at the wind mode of the radar. I want to switch back over to hail size and look at some of the cores within this storm, because we are seeing a very large core of hail falling on the north side of Cleburne currently. Now, we tried to pull up a camera at Chisholm Trail Parkway in 67, but at this time that camera not working, potentially because of the hail that's coming down, which even though the radar is showing the potential for golf ball, this thing's already approached teacups, if not larger. So we're talking larger than baseball size hail working into the city of Cleburne right now. You need to take cover, get inside the center of your house away from windows as this moves through, because even though the hail's coming down, maybe there's not a tornado within it, but the gusty winds are with it, and that can cause some wind-blown hail. You can actually see, as I zoom in real quick, that black spot on the radar. That's where the radar's going up there and saying, hey, there is something big up there, and that's what's going to be working towards the ground. So north side of Cleburne right now, that's going to be moving eventually into the city. Now, watch as this went through time, that hail core is really ramped up. That tells me it's about to come down closer to the ground. This hail has been sitting in the cloud for a while, and when we're starting to see more of those purples, more of those blacks try to mix in, that's very large hail that's going to be coming down here in the city of Cleburne. I want to look at velocity real quick, just because you notice that hook is getting a little bit more defined, and I clicked on the wrong velocity, so bear with me. Yeah, we're seeing the rotation starting to tighten. This is going to be on the north end of Lake Pat Cleburne. If you see the thin blue line right there, that's going to be on the north end of Lake Pat Cleburne. We need to watch for the potential for a spin-up tornado now on the southwest side of Cleburne, as that is starting to ramp up just a bit. No tornado warning in place, but I sure wouldn't mess around with it, as well as the fact that we have some very high winds showing up on radar here. If we go ahead and look at this amount of rotation on this, let me go ahead and query this particular speed on the radar real quick. That's going to be those pinks and the light kind of tan colors. That's 60 to 65 mile per hour winds. So you're combining 65 mile per hour winds with the potential for up to baseball to maybe even the size of a teacup size hail. That's going to be coming in from the northwest, and that can tear up stuff just as much as a tornado that could. Now, we just got a new warning. Now, a new tornado warning coming for the city of Cleburne right now. Let's go ahead and go back to the mode of the radar as this comes out. This is a new tornado warning now on the north end of Lake Pat Cleburne. This is moving directly over the southwest side of Cleburne. So Hill College over towards the Cleburne High School. Go further south, you're going to go towards Smith Middle School. You're eventually going to go towards Girard Elementary and down towards Country Club, the Nolan River Estates. This is directly in the path of that as that continues to move off to the southeast. In addition to the tornado warning, we have the potential now for 4-inch hail. That's roughly the size of a grapefruit. That is a very large chunk of hail that will be possible with this, and we already have confirmed 3-inch hail at the EOC. That's going to be in the hail core on the north side of town. We now have a view from US 67 Central and Chisholm Trail Parkway. Go ahead and take that view if you can. You can see the hail coming down along with rain now. The wind is moving too. Now, this is up north of where that potential tornado is. So you know that this has hail. You know that this has winds that could be approaching 70 miles per hour. You need to just go ahead and treat it in the city of Cleburne as if there's a tornado with this, because it can cause the same amount of damage. In addition to the fact we have this wrapping up now, Dan, on the north side.
Yeah, it really is. You've zoomed into it really well there. There's the circulation. Got reports of a rotating wall cloud. We're going to try our best here. We've got a camera up there. That's US 67. And it bears repeating that it is extremely challenging conditions right now to be able to show you a ground truth report given the low visibility. But that clearly indicates to us that we have got, I think, a tornadic circulation there. There is Highway 67. So as the crow flies, Josh, how far is this to the southwest of the Cleburne area right now? It's not far, maybe only a few miles to the southwest of there is where we've got our circulation, and that is continuing to move down to the south and southeast here. Tornado warning is in effect. We urge you, if you live in the Cleburne area and off, especially to the southwest of there, to be in your tornado safe shelter. Looks like we've had one spin up very, very quickly here, at least getting a report of a rotating wall cloud, which is oftentimes the very step before we see a tornado spawned. It's 4 miles to the southwest of Cleburne right now, but we don't want to take any chances. Even if you live in Cleburne, please be in your tornado safe shelter. But we believe the most dangerous part of this storm right now, where we're indicating the strong rotation, is about 3 miles to the southwest of Cleburne. That's where Josh has drawn the circle here. There's our motion towards and away from the radar, so we clearly have fairly strong counterclockwise rotation here, evident with Doppler radar. So we're talking about roads here. I'm going to look off to get a little better view here. So we're talking about Country Club Road, and also Josh, you'd probably know that better than me. That's Nolan River Road.
It is.
And so literally just to the west of Nolan River Road and just to the south of Highway 67, if there is a tornado in progress right now, that is where it's going to be.
Yeah, it's pretty much right on top of the Cleburne Golf Club. If you remember a couple of years, Dan, and I think it was 2013, we had that tornado track through Cleburne. This is exactly where the worst damage was. So if you were hit by that tornado, you probably need to be taking cover for this. But also, look at the wind field north of it. This is
very strong wind. Gusty
winds close to 60 to 70 miles per hour. It wouldn't surprise me if this is starting to near 80 here. Let me query it.
This is likely our RFD here, our rear flank downdraft. Very strong winds that are blowing right across Highway 67. Look at that, the core of those. We're talking 75-mile-an-hour winds possible here. So very, very strong winds on the backside of this. There's our tornado circulation right here. Here's Cleburne. So we're just a few miles to the southwest of Cleburne right now. So please, very dangerous situation. We want you to assume that we have a tornado in progress. We did get a report of a rotating wall cloud. I'm not sure if there's any updated. I'm going to go back here to the chat session here. Anything new there you're seeing?
They are activating the outdoor warning sirens. First warning was 5 minutes ago. And also there was hen egg size hail reported at the Cleburne High School. So to give you an idea of where that at, I'll grab the pointer tool. Here it is right here where Kilpatrick and Nolan River meet. That is the 2-inch hail falling there. That's the same area where we have 70 to 75 mile per hour winds. So the potential's there for wind-driven hail coming from the northwest to move into the west side of Cleburne here if it's not already falling.
Yeah, that's destructive hail, especially when it's being driven by winds that are that powerful here. But you notice a distinct characteristic here, that little hook there, and we've got that echo-free region there. So this is characteristic of what we typically see with a tornado here. We've also got, as Josh said, very, very strong winds on the backside of this. We believe the tornado is right here, right where you're seeing the green and the pinkish red couplet here. This is right down the Nolan River Road here on this southwest side of Cleburne, only about 3 miles away as the crow flies, right there, just west of 174. Put this into motion if you would, Josh. I believe this is likely going to be moving in a southeasterly direction here. That's just developed, so you can clearly see there. So it looks like it's moving to the southeast here, or the east-southeast. So if you live anywhere in Cleburne, to Rio Vista, as far west as Cleburne State Park, you're definitely in the danger zone right now. We could very well have a tornado in progress here, and it very well could be wrapped in rain, very heavy rain, large hail. We've had large hail up to the size of softballs falling out of this thing as well. That's going to make it almost impossible to see it approach your location here. So tornado warning continues for Cleburne, Rio Vista, Sand Flat, Parker. All those communities are under this warning.
Yeah, and as you look at the reflectivity, we still have that denoted hook echo region. The heaviest hail is where the red is right now, so that's coming down in the city of Cleburne. Even though the tornadoes south of you continue to take cover, because again, that is 70 to 75 mile per hour wind blown hail that could be up to the size of 3 inches that have already fallen here. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe we even saw some softballs trying to mix in there. So this is This is big hail that's moving through. We also have that potential for gusty winds to 75 miles per hour with it.
All right, so it's 7 o'clock right now. We've just come to the end of what is typically our 6:30 news on Fox 4. We're not going anywhere. We're staying right here. We're going to continue to track this severe weather here in North Texas. This is our dangerous storm right now. Look at the hook here. We could very well have a tornado in progress just to the southwest of Cleburne as we speak. Up to softball-sized hail, 4 inches in diameter, has been reported, and we could continue to see that. In addition, very, very strong winds wrapping on the backside of this thing. Could be 75 miles an hour. Yeah, this is a really a very concerning situation for us here. If you live anywhere from especially Cleburne and on the south side of Cleburne right now, just on the northwest side of Rio Vista. So it's probably about 2 to 3 miles northwest of Rio Vista and about 3 miles southwest of Cleburne is where we're showing the very distinct counterclockwise rotation associated with what we believe very well could be a tornado. If there's any chance we can get a camera up here, Highway 174, somewhere between Rio Vista and Cleburne, south of Cleburne, Highway 174. If there's a traffic camera we can show, I'd love to be able to do that. But we are zoomed in right now. That is Nolan River Road, south of Cleburne. That's where we've got the very strong rotation evident there, and very strong winds too. These are likely rip-roaring down to the south at about 70 miles an hour on the backside of this storm here.
Yeah, the dam for Cleburne Lake, for Pat Cleburne Lake, is right there. So on the northwest, or northeast rather, corner of the dam is where the center of the circulation is. That mesocyclone, probably about 2 miles wide, looking at it right now, maybe 3. So in that little radius from that little corner. So the south side of Lake Pat Cleburne, all the way up to about the Sheriff's Posse grounds and all the way down to the north end of Rio Vista. You need to be in your safe spot now if you aren't already. That's where the core of this rotation is. In addition, with the gusty winds and the potential hail that could be reaching up to the size of softballs, with winds gusting to 70 to 75 miles per hour coming in from the northwest side, that's going to be moving directly at your house there on the south side of the lake.
Yeah, and what we're showing you here, again, we're peering inside this this dangerous storm right now, where we're clearly showing this counterclockwise rotation. These storms have shown a sign where they ramp up very quickly, and that's exactly what happened here. That has prompted the tornado warning. Just joining us right now, there is a tornado warning in effect from Cleburne all the way down to the south through the Rio Vista area. We're trying to effort to see if we can get a traffic camera 174 here. I don't know if there's any cameras.
I don't think there is any in there, Dan.
Yeah, and if we get a 67 camera, that's probably going to be where the hail and the rain is coming down. But Rio Vista, you are literally located just a few miles to the south of the circulation itself. Cleburne is sitting just a few miles to the north of it. But there's our tornado warning polygon. It's in effect until 7:30. Softball-sized hail and radar indicated rotation that could be a tornado. And that's the signature always that gives us a great deal of pause when we see that hook there, that characteristic hook with this rain getting wrapped into the circulation itself here. So we've got winds flowing in this direction here on the southeast flank of the storm. We've got strong winds wrapping like that on the back. So there's our counterclockwise circulation here, literally just north of Rio Vista right now. We've had reports of a rotating wall cloud. We have not had 100% confirmed reports of a tornado as of right now. But, boy, that certainly looks like it right there.
Yeah, you see Fox Run Road, County Road 1205, just to the east of 174. Junes Road. I know there's the Junes Ranch back in there. You're stuck very close to this circulation. That's going to cross 174 and eventually work down towards County Road 1205, a big pinpoint of where that rotation is currently.
Yeah, that's what we call, again, gate to gate here, when you've got green, pink right next to each other here. Tight circulation, very tight circulation. We've got nearly 100 miles an hour of spin here, 45 in one direction, 50 in another. You add those together, you got 95 miles an hour of spin right here that could be associated with this, we believe, tornado in progress right now. And it is located very, very close to Highway 174 south of Cleburne. Of Rio Vista right now. That's where we believe we've got the tornado signature.
And the National
right
Weather
there.
Service now seeing that there's a lower level of CC. Let me see if I can get that for you, Dan.
And we'll bring that up there. But again, we urge you, if you're in this location, anywhere from Cleburne down through the, that looks to me like could be a little bit of area right there where we're seeing potential for some debris being lofted into the air on the east side of 174.
Yeah, and as you look at time, you could see that a little bit right there. You got a little low reflectivity now, you do as well. Let's go back to the velocity and look at that core as it is right on top of where your CC is. So we likely have the potential for that tornado to be all the way to the ground now. And this is going to be approaching County Road 1205, which kind of branches off of 171 and heads south down towards Rio Vista. And this is about to head towards County Road 310 and County Road, it looks like 1107B to the north of Rio Vista.
Yeah, if you would briefly bring up that radar signature one more time, Josh. And let's just see where that is. And let's, you know, this potentially could be a little bit of a debris ball, too. That's showing up on radar
I'll walk
here.
it through time here. You see the donut hole.
Yeah. So we could be looking at not only rain and hail, but debris here that's being lifted by this tornado south of Cleburne right now. Just kind of gives the characteristic look of that. And clearly we've got very strong low-level rotation here. It looks like it's just to the east now of 174. So this thing is moving east-southeastward. It literally just crossed over 174. It's north of Rio Vista. It's south of Cleburne. Right there, we believe we still have a tornado in progress. It's crossed over 174 here. Very strong low-level rotation. And there may be indications that we're picking up some debris. We look at different products. Sometimes you can see it on reflectivity with higher reflectivities in the shape of a ball. And then we were showing you that other product where it looked like there was a color discontinuity, so to speak, that was indicating to us that, no, this isn't rain, it's not hail, it's something else. And that likely can be an indication of debris that's been lofted into the air, whether that's nails, 2x4s, sheet metal, things of that nature. But we're increasingly concerned that that's an indication that we could have a tornado in progress here.